My name is Margaret, and I was born and raised in the quiet town of Villisca, Iowa. I'm writing this account to share my experience of the horrific events that unfolded in the house on 508 East 2nd Street, a place forever etched in my memory as a symbol of unspeakable terror. The year was 1912, a time when Villisca was a peaceful community nestled in the heart of America's heartland. The small town boasted of close-knit families, simple joys, and a sense of security that was the envy of many. I lived just a few houses down from the Moore family, who resided in the house on 508 East 2nd Street. On the evening of June 9th, the town was buzzing with excitement as the Children's Day services at the local Presbyterian church had just concluded. The Moore family, consisting of Josiah, Sarah, and their 4 children, had attended the event earlier that evening. Their children were friends with mine, and we often played together in our neighborhood. As nightfall descended upon our peaceful town, a sinister presence crept into our midst. It was a moonless night, the air thick with foreboding. I remember tossing and turning in bed, sensing an unease I couldn't quite place. And then, just after midnight, a blood-curdling scream pierced the stillness, reverberating through the quiet streets. Startled from my sleep, I peered out of my window, my heart pounding in my chest. Shadows moved in the distance, and the night seemed to hold its breath. Without thinking, I rushed to my parents' room and woke them. Together, we made our way to the Moore house. As we entered, a scene of unimaginable horror unfolded before our eyes. There, in the small bedroom where the Moore children had slept, lay the lifeless bodies of 8 innocent souls, their faces frozen in terror. Josiah and Sarah Moore, along with their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, and 2 young girls from the Stillinger family, Ina and Lena, all had met a gruesome end. The room was splattered with blood, and an axe, the instrument of their demise, lay nearby. Tears welled in my eyes as I stood there, paralyzed by the sheer brutality of the crime. It was a sight that would haunt me for the rest of my days. Villisca had been thrust into the depths of darkness, and our once tranquil town would never be the same. The news spread like wildfire, and Villisca was soon inundated with investigators, journalists, and curious onlookers. The entire community was in shock, and a deep sense of fear took hold of us. Rumors and suspicions circulated, but no one could fathom who could commit such an abominable act. Days turned into weeks, and then months, but justice remained elusive. Suspects were arrested and released, and the townsfolk whispered of ghosts haunting the Moore house. As time passed, the horror of that night faded into local legend, but for those of us who had witnessed it firsthand, the memories would never fade. The Moore house, now an eerie relic of the past, stood as a chilling reminder of the darkness that could descend upon even the most idyllic of places. The town tried to move on, but the shadow of the Villisca Axe massacre never truly lifted. The murderer was never apprehended, and the case remains unsolved to this day. I'm an old woman now, but the memories of that night and the haunting image of the Moore family's lifeless bodies still visit me in my dreams. The house on 508 East 2nd Street in Villisca stands as a testament to the horrors that can lurk in the most unexpected places, a grim reminder that evil can touch even the most innocent of lives. My name is Sarah, and my life was forever altered by the arrival of a man named Mark. He came into our lives like a soothing melody, promising love and companionship to my lonely heart. Widowed for 5 years, I was desperate for someone to fill the void, and Mark seemed like my savior. Mark was charming, with his ocean blue eyes and a smile that could melt anyone's heart. He treated me like a queen, showering me with affection and attention. I fell for him deeply, and it wasn't long before we married. Little did I know that beneath his charming facade lay a sinister secret. As time went by, my friends and family began to express their concerns about Mark. They couldn't put their finger on it, but something felt off about him. I I brushed their suspicions aside. Blinded by love and the promise of a better life, I couldn't believe that the man I had chosen to be my partner could be capable of anything sinister. One fateful evening, the truth began to unravel. My best friend Lisa had been digging into Mark's past, driven by an unshakable feeling that something was terribly wrong. She uncovered a web of lies, forged identities, and unexplained disappearances that spanned decades. Terrified by what she had discovered, Lisa confronted Mark, demanding answers. In a fit of rage and desperation, Mark lashed out, and before we knew it, Lisa lay lifeless on the floor. Her life had been snuffed out by the very man who had deceived me. Panicking, I called the police. But Mark was too cunning. He managed to escape before they arrived. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. The investigation into his true identity revealed a trail of victims across the country, each one unsuspecting, lonely women like me who had fallen under his spell. I became a survivor, living in constant fear, knowing that Mark might return to finish what he started. The police were relentless in their search, but he remained elusive, always one step ahead. Months turned into years, and the scars of that night ran deep. I lived in constant fear, looking over my shoulder, never knowing if Mark would resurface. Every creak of a floorboard, every unfamiliar face in the crowd sent shivers down my spine. As the years passed, the whispers of betrayal faded, but the trauma never left me. I had survived the grasp of a man who had promised love but delivered only darkness. I remained vigilant, knowing that the shadows could hide even the most sinister secrets. My life had become a testament to the strength of the human spirit, a story of survival against all odds. Mark may have escaped justice, but he could never erase the indomitable will to live that burned within me. And so, I lived on, determined to reclaim the life that had been stolen from me, forever haunted by the memory of that terrible night. The dark tale I'm about to recount remains etched in my mind as the most terrifying experience of my life. In winter of 2019, I ventured to my grandmother's village during the holidays, yearning for a change of scenery. Little did I know that this decision would plunge me into a nightmare, from which I'd never fully awaken. It all began innocently enough when I met a group of locals, a mixture of guys and girls who promised a holiday filled with adventure. One chilling evening, the group invited me to join them in exploring an abandoned house. An ominous feeling gripped my heart from the moment we arrived. The decrepit building loomed before us, a decaying relic of bygone days. But the allure of youthful curiosity was too strong to resist, and I reluctantly agreed to accompany them. The clock struck midnight as we ventured deeper into the bowels of this forsaken place, our footsteps echoing through the desolate halls. There were 5 of us, our breath visible in the frigid air as we laughed and joked to mask our unease. As the night wore on, our spirits dimmed along with the dwindling alcohol supply. Our friends decided to make a late-night run to the store, leaving only William and me to tend to the dwindling fire. I can still feel the uneasiness in the air as they departed into the inky darkness. The store was located at the edge of the village, a desolate trek of 1.5 kilometers through the frozen moonlit landscape. William eventually decided to visit his girlfriend nearby, leaving me alone in the pitch-black house. My breath formed misty specters in the icy air as I sat near the stove, lost in my thoughts. Suddenly, the room came alive with a sinister rustling sound, as if someone or something had settled onto a wire bed nearby. Panic seized me as I cautiously investigated the source of the noise. The room was empty, save for a chilling silence. And then, without warning, a book toppled from the closet, crashing to the floor. I fled the room in terror, standing outside in the freezing night, convinced that alcohol had clouded my senses. After a few moments of hesitation, I steeled myself and ventured back inside, feeling the oppressive darkness press in around me. Sitting beside the stove, I tried to regain my composure, but my uneasy respite was short-lived. Approximately 5 minutes later, The eerie thud of an axe striking wood shattered the silence. It echoed through the stillness of the night, each stroke sending shivers down my spine. Initially, I thought it was a prank orchestrated by my friends, so I attempted to call them. They assured me they were still at the store and wouldn't return for another half hour. With trepidation, I stepped outside, the cold gnawing at my bones. There, I encountered an eerie revelation. No one was chopping wood, and there were no footprints to be found in the freshly fallen snow. The palpable terror I felt was suffocating, an invisible presence lurking in the shadows. Unnerved and on edge, I waited outside for my friends to return. When they finally arrived, I recounted my chilling experiences. They dismissed it as a drunken hallucination, ridiculing my paranoia. Together, we re-entered the house, though my unease never waned. As the night wore on, they laughed and reveled while I sat alone, my unease deepening with every passing moment. Around 4 o'clock in the morning, exhaustion finally claimed my companions, their snores the only sound in the desolate house. Yet I couldn't find solace in slumber. Suddenly, an ominous procession of footsteps resounded through the house. I attempted to wake my friends, but they lay in a deathly slumber, unresponsive to my desperate pleas. Clutching a flashlight, I made my way to the room where Paul slept, the one where the bed had mysteriously rocked earlier. My heart raced, and dread coursed through me as I shook Paul. But he remained eerily still. A flicker of my flashlight revealed the truth that would haunt me forever. His lifeless eyes stared blankly into the void, his face contorted in a grotesque mask of horror. He had not succumbed to alcohol. He had been claimed by something far more sinister. 2 days later, the official cause of death was reported as heart disease. But I knew better. Paul had seen something that defied the laws of this world, something so terrifying it had stolen the life from his very soul. My memories of that fateful winter night still haunt me, and I am forever trapped in the icy grip of that unexplainable horror.